Hi there, Anthony Gitch back. Now, today I'm back with a message about codependency. And the reason I'm back with this message is because I've been associating recently with several people that are between the ages of, let's say, 25 to 35, right? Maybe a little bit younger in some instances. In fact, definitely younger in some instances. But as what I'm finding is that there's a lot of questions about what codependency is and what codependent behaviors are and what does it mean to exhibit codependent behaviors. Now, I've written a book. And that book is this, The Art of Self-Destruction, Freeing Yourself from Anger and Codependency. And it's available at Amazon for a very reasonable price, I think like $10 or something like that. It's a quick read. It's not some big old novel or anything. It's meant to be a quick read because I want to give you quick information just like here. So today is what I'm going to do is I'm going to read directly from the information from Codependents Anonymous. And this is from the meeting that I used to attend called People Who Love Too Much. And it was an amazing meeting. It changed my life. I went for many, many, many years. I still work the program on a regular basis, more than 20 years now. Actually. And so what I'm going to do, and I think it's important to get you this knowledge because there's a lot of confusion out there. People don't understand the difference between codependency, interdependency, and antidependency, right? And when we're antidependent, it means that we don't believe that we need community. We don't know how to ask for help. We don't believe that we should be asking for help, that sort of thing. Then we have the interdependent where we understand how to take care of ourselves. We understand how to take responsibility, how to generate the life that we want to experience, and we also know how to when it's appropriate for us to go out and who to ask for help at times, right? And we recognize when we need to do that, and we can set our egos aside and do that so we can create the best life possible for ourselves, right? That's where that interdependent piece comes in, and that's where we aim to be. And we all kind of fluctuate, right? We all kind of flow between this little pendulum kind of swings. There's never a time, I think, ever where we're precisely right in one place or the other, right? But I am going to read to you what happens when we swing to the codependent side of things. And this is, again, the traits of codependent behaviors. I exhibit codependent behaviors when my good feelings stem from being liked by you. And in the age of social media, I want you to think how that's going to impact almost everything that you do, right? There are some of the videos that I've got out there on YouTube, on my homepage, even on TikTok, that have got 2,000 plus views, which to me is pretty darn good. And then there's others out there that have only got 250 views or 600 views. Does it make a difference to me? Not in the sense of who I am, in the sense of how many people I would like to reach to get the information to, because I think it's valuable. Yeah, I would like to see more of that, but that doesn't have any reflection upon who I am or my self-worth, right? And so that's that difference there, yeah? My mental attention or your struggles affect my serenity. Let's say you're involved with a coworker or a boyfriend, girlfriend, father, mother, whatever, but they're struggling with something. And you take that on as your own particularly without being asked to take it on, right? You try to start to solve problems and you start to associate their feelings with your own feelings as if you're experiencing it, right? That's exhibiting a codependent behavior. When you start to focus your mental attention on protecting someone else, right? Particularly someone who hasn't asked for it. When your mental attention is focused on manipulating someone to do it your way, and that's the sneaky part, right? That's something that can really be tricky to recognize when we're doing, but anytime you're manipulating someone or you're trying to convince them to do it your way over theirs, you're acting codependently. I exhibit codependent behaviors when my hobbies and interests are put aside and my time is spent sharing your hobbies and interests. If you've just starting a relationship, this is a perfect way to explain this. Let's say you've just started dating this wonderful guy and he's into NASCAR and you're not. In fact, you can't stand that crap. It's nothing you've ever liked, right? But you really like this guy. And so on one Sunday, of course, when all that stuff goes on, which is usually when you are maybe out celebrating with your girlfriends, having brunch is what your regular thing is. Now all of a sudden, because you started seeing this person, you're going to start seeing what they're doing on Sundays instead, right? And you're going to go to NASCAR with him, even though you don't like it. The whole time you're there, you're not going to enjoy it. You're doing it because he asked you to, right? That's exhibiting codependent behaviors, and that's no way to build a relationship, because that's just going to build resentment in the long run. And you're going to use that as a form of manipulation as well, because it's what you're going to end up saying is that, well, gosh, look at what I did for you, and now you won't come and do this with me. Right, and so recognize what the downstream effect of that is going to be. Right, so that's definitely exhibiting codependent behaviors, because you're finding ways, tools, threads to manipulate with. Right, your clothing and appearance are dictated by my desires, as I feel you are a reflection of me. This is a big one for parents to recognize when they're raising their children. Right, or if you've got a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever it may be. However they're behaving, it's a little bit different if you've got toddlers, if you've got children that are under your supervision. It is a reflection of you when they behave badly, because you're the one who is responsible for them to a certain degree. However, when it comes to adults, if your boyfriend or your girlfriend dresses in a particular way that you don't like, it has no reflection upon you, and it's none of your damn business. If you don't like it, then you shouldn't have been with them to begin with, right? Because you shouldn't be trying to, and here's something I'm going to really step into for a moment, the word should. Right? I need not be using that, because I'm not going to shit on you if you don't shit on me, right? But what I'm trying to get across here when it comes to that, it's no one's right to tell someone else how they should dress or act if they are both adults, right? If you don't like the way that your partner is dressing or acting, then maybe you've chosen the wrong partner, and you need to look at it that way, and or look at it a different way and start to experience things in a different way, or just accept them for who they are, right? I mean, you chose them, and why would you want to change someone now? Your behaviors are dictated by my desires, as I feel you're a reflection of me. This is a big one. I can tell you about my own experience with this in a relationship that I had after I'd been going to this meeting for more than 10 years, and I met somebody, a wonderful guy, I thought, and when he found out I was doing these CODA meetings, he told me to stop immediately. Didn't like that shit, right? Well, not immediately, but right away. And he thought that was some sort of reflection upon him, and his anyway really is, and it was a reflection upon him. It was a reflection upon the fact that it freaked him out that I was so involved in trying to better myself and be in a healthy relationship, that when I recognized unhealthy patterns and would point them out, in my own self, not in him but in myself, he didn't like it. And I ended up having to leave the relationship because of jealousy and that sort of stuff. But yeah, that was definitely, he didn't like the fact that I was a massage therapist, because he had gone out and had an experience with the massage therapist when he was first coming out of the closet as an adult. I'm going to go out and I'm going to go to a massage therapist and I'm going to play around. Well, so automatically then everybody that was a massage therapist that he met from then on out must do that. And that's not the way it is, people. And if you think that that's the way it is, pull your head out of your ass. Massage therapists are not prostitutes, right? So don't assume that just because a guy or a gal or whatever is a massage therapist that they're out doing something that is inappropriate, because I can tell you 99.9% of them are not. There are the dirty bunch out there, but again, that has no reflection upon me. Certainly a reflection upon him and what he thought about things, so right? I'm not aware of how I feel. I'm aware of how you feel. And so a lot of times this one can be a bit of a tricky one as well, because, if someone is asking us to do something, or we're involved in a relationship or that sort of thing, and we're starting to become confused about, well, why am I doing this? Why am I going about it this way? But you put all of that aside and you start to just do it because they want you to do it. You need to check that, right? Because your feelings are important. You need to really be aware of what your feelings are, and how you are able to express those in a relationship, whether that's a work relationship or a personal relationship. I'm not aware of what I want. I'm aware of what you want. If I'm not aware, I assume. Well, now here's another really kind of tricky one. Yeah, let me give you an example for this. You are at home with your partner and your boyfriend, your spouse, whatever, and it's Saturday morning, and you recognize, you go to the refrigerator and you open it up. Oh, there's no orange juice. Well, you want some orange juice, so you say to your partner, "Hey, I'm going to go down to the store. Is there anything you want?" And they say, "Well, no, there's nothing I can think of." And you're like, "Okay, great." So you go down to the store, and when you get down there, you're looking through the cabinet, and all of a sudden you recognize, "Oh my God, they have some Yoo-hoo. I know blah 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 loves Yoo-hoo, so I'm gonna go ahead and get some Yoo-hoo because I'm such a nice person, right?" And you go home and you get Yoo-hoo and you buy it for them, and you put it for, look what I did, and they're like, "I didn't ask you for that." And then you get upset because they're not throwing themselves at their feet thanking you for the wonderful thing that you did that they never fucking asked you to do. Right? Maybe they don't drink Yoo-hoo anymore between the last time you saw them. Did you ask? You asked them if they want anything. They said no. Don't get them anything, right? If you do, then you're making assumptions and you're setting yourself up for a trap. Just don't fucking do it, people. Just don't. And here's another one. The dreams I have for my future are linked to you. Right? This is a good one. Well, if we're not together, then how am I going to be able to achieve something? Because, and this is where the most painful barrier kind of thing comes in, because oftentimes when we're stuck in an unhealthy relationship, is what we want to do or what we need to do is get outside of it, right? Get away from it. But think about it, if you're married, you've got kids, or even if you're just married to somebody, or your finances are intermingled and you've got become accustomed to a certain lifestyle and that sort of thing. That's why we call it the most painful barrier, because sometimes you're going to need to move through that stuff. You're going to need to go through to the other side of that discomfort of not having what you're used to having in order to have something new, something better, right? And so that can be a tough one sometimes. Here's, I exhibit codependent behaviors when my fear of rejection determines what I say and do. This is another really big one. You know, your partner or your boss or whatever says you need to go and do something, and it's not something that you're prepared to do because it's outside of your values maybe, or it's outside of your capabilities, it's outside of your physical limitations at the moment, whatever it may be. And if you sit there and you say, well, yes, anyway, to it, again, you're setting yourself up, you're devaluing yourself. Right, you're putting other people's needs above your own, and that is something that is it needs to be taken care of, because you can't. Yeah. Anyway, if you're afraid someone's going to not be your friend just because of what you say or what you do, then they weren't going to be your friend anyway. Be who it is that you want to be. Be authentic, right? When you're authentic, when you're transparent, then you don't have to remember what you've said that isn't necessarily something that you believe in, and that way you don't have to go back cleaning up behind you, right? My fear of your anger determines what I say and do. This is, you know, if you have a partner who, if you decide you're going to go do something, and they oftentimes will get angry, and so, well, rather than deal with their anger, I'm just going to go ahead and do what it is that I know that they want me to do. That's exhibiting codependent behavior, right? And another thing, if you're in that kind of relationship where anger is determining your actions, someone else's anger is, you need to check that out. You need to really evaluate the relationship that you're in and wonder, why is the person who supposedly says that they love you treating you in such a manner that they are using anger as a way to manipulate you to get their needs met, right? That's bullshit. Figure that fucking shit out. It ain't healthy, right? I put my values aside in order to connect with you, right? Here's a good one, right? This is, I had a couple that I worked with, and they were struggling because he wanted to have an open relationship. They were married, but he wanted to bring a third in. She loved him so much, right? She was so addicted to him, actually, that she was willing to do that. And it was absolutely against everything that she believed in. not only spiritually, but as far as a relationship with her husband went and everything else. Yet she did it, ended up resenting him, it ended up ruining the relationship, that sort of thing. The relationship was doomed from the beginning, if you wanted to do that, as it were. But at any rate, it cost her a lot of pain because she was willing to try to do something that she knew that she wasn't right for her, right? The next one here, I value your opinion and way of doing things over my own. Um, Again, this kind of gets back to that whole thing of, it's more important what you think of me than what I think of me. And again, that's bullshit. If someone is, if you value what your husband says about the way you look over the way that you feel about the way you look, then you need to evaluate that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the relationship or there's anything wrong with you, but there's certainly something that you need to look at when it comes to how you're expressing or getting your needs for the self-esteem, for self-worth to be there, right? How is that being generated? How is that being manifested? Are you able to manifest that on your own, or is it determined upon somebody else? I exhibit codependent behaviors when the quality of my life is in relation to the quality of yours. So, for example, let's just say that you're really close to your mother and your mother's really struggling with something. All of a sudden, now your whole life shambles around you or falls apart around you because that's what's happening in her life. And so you're kind of a reflection of what's going on with the other people. And oftentimes that's done, it's sabotage, right? And that gets back to the whole archetype stuff, which at one point I might cover. But this is a little bit longer video today for those of you here at YouTube, and even from the TikTok sector that came in. But I wanted to go over some of those things because I think it's important that we recognize what they are. I'm Anthony Gitch. I hope that helps you out, and I hope you have an awesome fucking day. Bye.